Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Classical English Academy. I'm Tom.
And I'm Anna. We are so excited to have you listening with us today. If you want to improve your English and your life at the exact same time, you are in the perfect place.
That's right, Anna. Today, we are diving into a very powerful topic. Change your mindset, change your life. We'll be discussing how the thoughts in your head directly control the results you get in reality.
It's an incredibly important conversation, and we can't wait to get started. But before we begin, please take just one quick second to hit that subscribe button.
Yes, if you enjoy our podcast, please like this video, leave a comment below to practice your English, and share this video with a friend who might need some inspiration today.
All right, let's dive right into today's topic.
You know, Anna, I've been thinking a lot lately about a massive mystery. I look at two people who start in the exact same place. Maybe they have the same job, the same education, or the same goals. 10 years later, one of them has achieved everything they dreamed of, while the other is still in the exact same spot, feeling stuck and frustrated. It makes me wonder, is it just luck, or is there an invisible barrier that some people climb over while others just hit their heads against it?
That is a profound observation, Tom. It's rarely about luck or even raw talent. Most of the time, that invisible barrier you're talking about is actually tucked away inside the mind. Psychologists call it the mindset gap. Specifically, it's the difference between having a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. These two ways of thinking create completely different lives.
Fixed versus growth. Those words sound simple, but I imagine the impact is huge. Can you break that down for us? What does it actually mean to have a fixed mindset compared to one?
Exactly. Think of a fixed mindset like a stone. People with this mindset believe their intelligence, character, and creative ability are static, meaning they cannot change. They think, I am who I am, and I can't get any better. On the other hand, a growth mindset is like a seed. These people believe that their true potential is unknown and that they can develop their skills through dedication, hard work, and strategy. To them, brains and talent are just the starting point.
I love that analogy, a stone versus a seed. One just sits there while the other has the potential to become a giant tree. But let's make this practical for our listeners here at the Academy. Can you give us a real-world example? Maybe something related to what we do here, like learning a difficult new language?
That's the perfect example, Tom. Learning English is one of the best ways to see these mindsets in action. Imagine two students, Adam and Sarah, both trying to learn a complex grammar rule or a difficult accent.
Okay, I'm picturing them. How do they react differently when they face a challenge?
Well, let's look at how they handle mistakes. Adam has a fixed mindset. When he forgets a word or makes a grammar mistake in front of others, he feels embarrassed. To him, a mistake is proof that he just isn't good at English. He thinks, I'm not a language person, and he stops trying because he wants to avoid looking stupid. He sees failure as a permanent identity.
I've definitely felt that way before. It's like the mistake defines you. Now, what about Sarah?
Sarah has a growth mindset. When she makes a mistake, she doesn't see it as a reflection of her intelligence. She sees it as feedback. She thinks, oh, I used the wrong verb tense there. That means I need to practice that specific rule more. She isn't afraid of looking silly because she knows that stumbling is a natural part of walking. For her, the word yet is the most important word in her vocabulary. She doesn't say, I can't speak English. She says, I can't speak English fluently yet.
That word yet is a game changer. It turns a dead-end street into a long road of possibility. So what I'm hearing is that the way we interpret our struggles is actually more important than the struggle itself. If we see a challenge as a wall, we stop. If we see it as a ladder, we climb.
Precisely. In a growth mindset, challenges are exciting because they are opportunities to get smarter. In a fixed mindset, challenges are a threat because they might reveal that you aren't as gifted as you thought.
This is making so much sense now. I'm realizing that mindset isn't just a nice idea. It's the absolute foundation of all learning. You can have the best books, the best teachers, and the best apps, but if your mindset is fixed like a stone, nothing is going to grow. We have to prepare the soil of our minds first.
You hit the nail on the head, Tom. Before you can change your life, you have to believe that you can change.
We just talked about how a growth mindset is like a seed, Anna. But if we want that seed to grow, we have to talk about the weeds that try to choke it out. I'm talking about those quiet, annoying voices in our heads that tell us we can't do something. Where do those come from?
Those weeds are what we call limiting beliefs, Tom. Think of a limiting belief as a false rule you've written for yourself. It's a thought that you've repeated so many times that your brain now accepts it as an absolute fact. These beliefs act like a glass ceiling. You can see where you want to go, but your own mind stops you from reaching it. We often don't even realize we have them because they sound like common sense to us.
I see. So it's like a script running in the background of our minds. I hear these scripts from students at the academy all the time, and honestly, I catch myself saying them too. For example, a very common one is, I'm just too old to learn a new language now. Or, I wasn't born with a math brain or a language brain, so I'll never be naturally smart. It feels very real when you're saying it, Anna. It feels like a fact of life.
I hear you, Tom. But here's the truth. Those aren't facts. They're assumptions. When you say, I am too old, you are telling your brain to stop looking for solutions. You are literally shutting down the learning centers of your mind. To change your life, you have to become a mental detective. You have to catch yourself in the act of negative self-talk.
A mental detective. I like that. So if I catch myself thinking, this English lesson is too hard, I'll never get it, what is the next step? How do I stop that voice?
You use a technique called reframing. Instead of letting the thought sit there, you challenge it. You look for evidence that proves it wrong. For example, if the thought is, I'm too old, you ask yourself, is there anyone my age who has learned English? The answer is always yes. Then you reframe the thought to, it might take me longer to memorize, but my life experience helps me understand deep concepts better than a teenager.
Okay, let me try one. If my limiting belief is, I'm not naturally smart enough to lead a team, I could reframe it to, leadership is a skill I can build through practice and study, just like any other skill. Does that sound right?
Perfect. That is exactly how you break the glass ceiling.
But I have to ask, Anna, is this just positive thinking? I've heard people say that you can just think your way to success. But if I just think I'm a millionaire while my bank account is empty, that's not reality. Is simply thinking positively enough to actually change a person's life?
That's a great question, and the answer is a big no. This isn't about toxic positivity or ignoring reality. If you have a flat tire on your car, thinking the tire is full of air won't fix it. That's delusional.
Exactly. So what's the difference?
The difference is realistic problem solving. A negative mindset says, the tire is flat, I'm a failure, and I'll never get home. A positive growth mindset says, the tire is flat, that's a problem. Do I have a spare? Do I need to call for help? What is my first step to fix this? Changing your mindset isn't about pretending things are perfect. It's about believing that you have the agency to find a solution. It's moving from, I am a victim of this situation, to, I am the architect of my response.
The architect of my response. I love that. It's not about magic. It's about shifting from a dead-end thought to an active, working thought.
Precisely. Once you stop arguing for your limitations, you start looking for your opportunities.
Anna, we've spent some time talking about the theory of mindset, identifying the weeds and planting the seeds. But I know our listeners, they are practical people. They want to know, how do I actually do this when I wake up on Monday morning? It's one thing to think differently for 10 minutes while listening to a podcast, but how do we build a mindset that stays strong all day long?
That is the golden question, Tom. You can't just think your way into a new life. You have to act your way into a new way of thinking. Our brains are like muscles. If you want a strong mindset, you have to go to the mental gym every single day. We do this through success habits. These are small, repeated actions that train your brain to focus on growth instead of fear.
Mental gym. I like that imagery. So what are the exercises? If I'm a student or a professional listening right now, what are some specific habits I can start tomorrow morning to begin building this muscle?
There are 3 power habits I always recommend. First is morning journaling, just 5 minutes of writing down your goals or what you want to achieve today. Second is reading or active learning, even just 10 pages of a book that challenges you. And third, which might be the most powerful, is practicing gratitude. This isn't just saying thank you, it's specifically identifying 3 things you are grateful for. This forces your brain to scan the world for wins instead of scanning for problems.
I hear you, Anna, but I have to play the skeptic for a moment. I know what our listeners are thinking because I feel it too. Most people are incredibly busy. They have full-time jobs, they have kids to feed, they have long commutes and traffic. When someone hears journaling, reading, and gratitude, it sounds like a luxury for people who have lots of free time. What if someone is just too overwhelmed with work and family to add one more thing to their list?
That is a very fair point, Tom. If you try to change everything at once, you'll burn out by Tuesday. This is why we don't start with big habits. We start with micro habits. A micro habit is a version of a new habit that takes less than 5 minutes to do. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to show up.
Less than 5 minutes? Can 5 minutes really change a person's life? Seems almost too small to matter.
It matters because of neuroplasticity. Every time you do a small, positive action, you are physically carving a new path in your brain. For example, instead of saying, I will read for an hour, say, I will read 1 page. Instead of, I will meditate for 30 minutes, just take 3 deep breaths before you start your car. These tiny wins prove to your subconscious that you are the type of person who keeps promises to yourself.
That makes so much sense. It's the compound effect. A 1% improvement every day adds up to a massive change over a year. I'm starting to see that it's not about the size of the habit, it's about the consistency of the habit.
Exactly. Consistency is the bridge between a dream and a reality. So, Tom, let's put you on the spot. What is one micro habit you are going to commit to starting today?
Let me think. Usually, the first thing I do when I wake up is grab my phone and check my emails or the news, which usually makes me feel stressed immediately. So, starting tomorrow, my micro habit will be this. Before I touch my phone, I'm going to name just one thing I'm excited about for the day. It will take me 10 seconds, but I think it will change my whole morning mood.
I love that, Tom. It's simple, it's fast, and it protects your mindset from the digital black hole first thing in the morning. If you can win the first 5 minutes of your day, you have a much better chance of winning the rest of the day.
We've talked about habits and mindset, but let's be honest, Anna. Even with the best habits in the world, life isn't always smooth. Sometimes you wake up, you do your gratitude, you drink your water, and then everything goes wrong. You lose a client, you fail an exam, or you have a massive argument with someone you care about.
You're hitting on the most difficult truth of this journey, Tom. Changing your life is not a straight line. We like to imagine it's an escalator that only goes up, but in reality, it's more like a mountain trail. There are steep climbs, beautiful views, and then sudden drops where you might trip and fall. The hardest part of the growth mindset isn't how you act when things are going well, it's how you act when you fail.
That word, failure, it has such a heavy negative weight to it. In school, a fail means you're done. You didn't make the grade, and you should feel ashamed. But I'm starting to see that highly successful people look at that word differently. To them, failure isn't a wall, it's actually just data.
Data. I love that perspective. Tell me more about what you mean by that.
Think about a scientist in a lab. If they run an experiment and it doesn't work, they don't cry and say, I'm a terrible scientist, I'll never succeed. Instead, they grab a notebook and write, okay, that mixture didn't work. Now I know one more way that doesn't work. Failure is just feedback. It's the universe's way of saying, not that way, try this way instead. It's an essential part of the learning process, not the end of it.
That is exactly the shift we need. To illustrate that, I want to share a short story with you. Imagine a young potter trying to make a beautiful vase. He spends hours on his first one, but as he puts it in the kiln to bake, it cracks into 100 pieces. He is devastated. He wants to throw away his clay and quit, but his master walks over and says, "Don't look at the broken pieces as a loss. Look at the cracks. They tell you that the clay was too dry or the fire was too hot. Those cracks are the only thing that will teach you how to make a perfect vase next time."
Wow, the cracks are the teachers. If the vase had been perfect the first time, the potter would never have learned the deep secrets of the clay or the fire. He would have stayed a beginner who got lucky.
Exactly. The failure was the only way to gain the expertise needed for true greatness.
What strikes me about that story, Anna, is the exact moment the potter's mindset saved him. It was that split second after the vase cracked. A fixed mindset would have said, "I'm not a potter," and walked out the door. But because he listened to the master and adopted a growth mindset, he stayed. He didn't see a broken vase, he saw a lesson in temperature. That one thought, the choice to see the crack as information rather than an insult, is what changed his entire career.
You're right. The event, the crack, was the same, but the interpretation, the mindset, changed the outcome. Resilience isn't about never falling. It's about how fast you can turn a fall into a lesson.
It's about being uncrushable. If you believe that every setback is making you stronger and smarter, then nothing can truly stop you. You just keep collecting data until you reach your goal.
We have traveled a long way today, Tom, from defining the seed of a growth mindset to identifying the weeds of limiting beliefs, and even finding the lessons in the cracks of our failures. But now we come to the most exciting part, how all of this actually transforms a person's entire reality.
That's the big promise, isn't it? Change your mindset, change your life. It sounds like a bold claim. I think some people might still be wondering, how does a simple thought in my head turn into a different house, a better job, or a more fluent way of speaking English? Can you connect the dots for us, Anna? How do we get from a mental thought to a physical reality?
It's actually a very logical chain reaction, Tom. It's not magic, it's psychology. It starts with your thoughts. Your thoughts.
And I assume that emotion then drives what we actually do?
Exactly. Emotions are the fuel for your actions. If you feel confident, you study harder, you speak up in meetings, and you take risks. If you feel defeated because of a fixed mindset, you stay silent and do nothing. Those actions, repeated every single day, eventually produce your results.
So it's a massive ripple effect. A tiny pebble dropped in the water, a single thought, creates ripples that eventually touch every shore of your life. If I change the source, the thought, I inevitably change the destination, the life result.
Precisely. You cannot have a level 10 life with a level 1 mindset. The world around you is simply a mirror of the world inside you. If you want the mirror to show a different image, you have to change the person standing in front of it.
Looking back at everything we've discussed today, from Tom and Anna's first steps to this final ripple effect, it's incredible to realize how much power we actually hold. We aren't just passengers in our lives, we are the pilots. Even if we can't control the weather or the cracks in the vase, we can always control how we steer the plane. The mind really is the most powerful tool we own.
It truly is, Tom. But knowledge without action is just a daydream. So to our listeners at the Classical English Academy, I want to leave you with a final challenge.
I'm ready for it. What should they do right now?
I want you to identify one area of your life where you feel stuck. Maybe it's your English fluency, your career, or a fitness goal. Ask yourself, what is the number one limiting belief I have about this? Write it down. Then immediately rewrite it using the word yet. Change "I can't do this" to "I haven't mastered this yet."
That is a perfect way to start. It's a small shift, but it opens the door to a brand new world.
Remember, The ripples start the moment you decide they do. Your new life begins with your next thought.
Well, everyone, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into mindset. We've covered everything from the fixed versus growth gap to the power of micro-habits and the ripple effect that changes your physical reality. I really hope these ideas help you see your own potential in a brand new light.
It has been such a pleasure sharing this journey with you. Remember, the most important conversation you have every day is the one you have with yourself. Make sure it's a conversation that helps you grow.
Before you head off to start your day and practice that yet technique we talked about, we have a small favor to ask. If you found today's episode helpful, please hit that like button right now. It really helps our channel reach more students around the world.
And don't forget to subscribe to the Classical English Academy and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a lesson. We love reading your thoughts, so please leave a comment below telling us one limiting belief you are letting go of today.
Finally, if you know someone who's feeling a bit stuck lately, please share this video with them. Let's spread this growth mindset together.
Thank you so much for listening. Keep learning, keep growing, and we will see you in the next episode.
Goodbye for now.